If you had told me a year ago that I'd be running a business making thousands every month, I wouldn't have believed you. Because not long ago, I was just another guy chasing opportunities that led nowhere. I was failing over and over, stuck and frustrated, wondering if I would ever figure this out. SMMA failed. Dropshipping burned thousands of dollars. Tutoring never scaled. I tried everything and nothing worked. But each failure taught me something. And when I finally cracked the code, I built a business that grew to 5K MRR in just a few months without a big audience, without ads, and without a perfect plan. This is the raw truth about how I did it, the big mistakes that I made, and the hard lessons that got me here. And if you're watching this, it probably means that you're trying to build something of your own too. Maybe you're at a stage where nothing is working. Maybe you're questioning if you're even cut out for this. I've been there. This is my story, but more importantly, it might be yours too. Now, I grew up in a family that followed the traditional path. Study hard, get good grades, go to a good university, get a stable job, and work until retirement. That's what I was taught, and that's what everyone around me believed in. However, I also had a different influence. A family friend I call my rich dad. He built an empire and he worked on his own terms. He had time, money, and freedom, and for years, I watched both of these paths play out in real time. One person working 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday, barely having any time for himself or his family. The other, total freedom, traveling and living life on his own terms. I had a choice and I decided that the rich dad life was the only path I was willing to take. But knowing what you want and making it happen are two completely different things. And trust me, I didn't start off smart. I started off desperate. I jumped into whatever sounded like a quick way to make money. Dropshipping looked easy on YouTube, so I tried it twice and lost over 1.5K of my own money from tutoring gigs. SMMA, months of outreach and barely any traction. At that point, I started to question everything. Why was it working for others, but not for me? Was I just not cut out for this? I hit a wall and I hit it hard. But something inside of me refused to quit. I kept pushing, I kept testing, and then finally I stumbled onto something different. One of my friends was making over 20K a month running an agency, so I reached out and asked, "Bro, what am I doing wrong?" That's when he introduced me to his framework and, more importantly, Go High Level. And this changed everything for me. Within just 2 weeks of learning how to properly use it, I landed 2 clients and hit 3K a month. It felt like a breakthrough until it wasn't. You see, I made the biggest mistake most people make when they get their first taste of success. I stopped doing what got me there. I stopped outreach, I stopped prospecting, and before I knew it, I had no pipeline, no growth, and was back at square one. At this point, I had to face a harsh reality. SMMA just wasn't for me. The constant churn, outreach, and unpredictability made it clear that this wasn't the long-term play that I wanted. But I wasn't about to walk away empty-handed. I had learned a ton about sales, automations, and most importantly, how to systemize a business with Go High Level. And that's when an opportunity landed on my lap. A tutoring business owner I had reached out to wanted to launch a program teaching others how to start their own online tutoring business. She was already making over 25K a month, and I saw a way to bring in my expertise in system building to the table. So we partnered up 50-50 and I went all in. Instead of repeating past mistakes though, I applied everything I'd learned building Go High Level systems, refining the offer, and streamlining operations. Within the very first 2 months, we had closed over 22.5K in deals. At the same time, I started consulting for other school community owners, helping them automate and scale their business. And this was the game changer. I wasn't just selling a service anymore. I was engineering the systems that made businesses run smoothly. But not everything worked out. By June, the tutoring program hit a brick wall. Our target market just didn't have the money to invest in a high-ticket offer. Revenue slowed down, and I realized that I was doing 95% of the work for only 50% of the pay, and it wasn't sustainable. That's when I made a hard pivot. I had seen firsthand how school communities struggled with automation, lead nurturing, and scaling. And I knew that Go High Level was the missing piece for so many of them. So in September, I took a bet on myself and I launched Go High Level for School with no audience, no ads, and no content. Just pure execution, and I went all in. 9 a.m. to midnight every single day. I told myself, push to failure as fast as possible. If it flops, I'll pivot, but I won't half-ass it. Within the first week, I got to $270 in MRR. By the end of the month, $981 in MRR. Every month after, another 1K in MRR growth. By December, I was making 4.4K MRR and had earned over $25,000. But listen, this wasn't smooth sailing. I faced 3 massive challenges along the way. The first being self-doubt. Now, I'm dyslexic and I struggled with speaking, writing, and even organizing my thoughts. Every time I tried to explain my ideas, I felt like my words got jumbled. Writing content took me twice as long as anyone else, and I worried that I'd never be able to clearly communicate my vision. But instead of letting that stop me, I forced myself to show up anyway and to work harder than anyone else. I recorded messy videos, I wrote imperfect posts, and over time, I realized that people don't care if you're flawless. They care if you're real. Now, the second challenge was burnout. I was working non-stop, no breaks and no weekends. Every day felt like a battle to keep up. I was pulling in 12-plus-hour days, and even when I wasn't actively working, my mind was racing with things that I still had to do. The exhaustion hit hard. I was running on fumes and I questioned whether it was even worth it. The turning point, realizing that working harder wasn't the solution. I needed systems that allowed me to step back without my business collapsing. That's when I focused on automation and delegation, and it completely changed the game. Now, the third challenge was starting from zero. Much like most of you guys watching this, I had no audience and no credibility, just an idea. And let me tell you, showing up when nobody else is watching, that's brutal. I posted and got no engagement. I reached out to people and got ignored. There were moments where I questioned if I was just wasting my time, but I kept going. Every day, I showed up like I already had an audience. I treated every piece of content and every conversation as if it mattered. And eventually, it did. People started paying attention, the momentum built, and suddenly I wasn't invisible anymore. Now, most people fail because they expect overnight results. But the truth, it's just relentless consistency stacked over time. But here's the thing, if I had to start over today, I wouldn't do it the hard way. I'd skip the painful mistakes, the wasted time, and go straight to what actually works. So if you're serious about building a school community that prints money on autopilot without the guesswork, the dead-end strategies, or the constant struggle, make sure to watch this next video now. It's the exact roadmap I wish that I had when I first started. So click here and you'll thank me later.